My name is David Madison, the 3rd of October 2020, and this is episode 9 in a series of videos, Required Homework for Christians. Having served my time amongst church folks for 9 years as minister of 2 parishes, I know a thing or two about what they need to learn. In the very first episode in this series, I recommended a hugely important homework assignment for Christians, namely, read the Bible. Please. And this is a follow-up to that, namely, read the 4 Gospels with especial care. And there's a very important tool to help you do that smartly. It's a book called Gospel Parallels. Instead of the 4 Gospels placed one after the other, as in your Bible, individual Gospel stories are presented in parallel columns, so you can see the variations. You can see how the different Gospel authors treated the same stories, changed the wording, changed the Jesus script, and deleted sections. With this tool in hand, then I'm suggesting Christians take a close look at serious Bible scholarship instead of settling for devotional books written by preachers. Many Christians might not even be aware of how intensively the Gospels have been studied and analyzed by devout scholars, and what they've found out. It's important to know that Mark's Gospel was written first, probably about 40 years after the death of Jesus and after the destruction of Jerusalem by the Romans in 70 CE, when eyewitnesses to Jesus were no longer around. A couple of things emerged from a careful study of Mark. First, Jesus is not an ethical teacher here. He has very little to say about moral issues. And second, Mark's Gospel could be subtitled Jesus and the Demons. Here, he's an exorcist. Chapter 5 is especially embarrassing. By a magic spell, Jesus transfers demons into pigs. Matthew copied much of Mark without telling anyone he had done that, and he added a lot of material, for example, the Sermon on the Mount, since ethical teaching was missing from Mark. Luke seems to have copied this from Matthew. He shortened it, he broke it up, and he said that it took place not on a mount, but on a plain. We suspect that Matthew used his imagination too much. For example, Mark told about the temptation of Jesus in 2 verses. Matthew expanded that to 11 verses and added dialogue between Satan and Jesus. This was in the wilderness. There was no one there taking notes. Matthew also got really weird. He tells the tall tale that a lot of dead people came out of their tombs on Easter morning and walked around Jerusalem. This zombie story is missing from the other Gospels. Mark reported that Jesus at his trial promised those present that they would see him coming on the clouds of heaven. Matthew copied those words. Luke deleted them. With this new tool, Gospel Parallels, it's easy to see how the various authors changed the words of Jesus as they saw fit, which brings us to the really big problem, of John's Gospel. There are huge Jesus monologues here in John's Gospel, found nowhere else. How did the other Gospel writers miss all this Jesus speech? Well, it was common practice in the ancient world for authors to just make up speeches for heroes in their stories, and we suspect that's what John did. And this really stands out when we compare the Gospel stories side by side in parallel columns. It also stands out that the fact-checkers were on holiday when the Gospels were assembled together to lead off the New Testament. With the Gospel authors, there was far too much making things up as they went along.